BT8 is coming out with new passive win cons. So which one will reign supreme? Let's talk about it. What's up, tamers? Welcome back to The Other Decks. My name's Casual Adobo, and today we're going to be looking at the extremely interesting, extremely funky Shivamon deck. Now, Shivamon is fascinating in my opinion because of its ability that when all of our Digimon are suspended, our opponent can't use any option cards. So it is a little bit of option hate, which we don't see too often. We did have that one option card in EX1, Emergency Halt Program or something like that, but really nothing else. But its second ability is fascinating as well, because this is where that passive win con thing comes in, where it says on our turn, when this Digimon unsuspends during our unsuspend phase, trash the top card of our opponent's security stack. So essentially, as soon as Shivamon hits the field, when it comes back to our turn, it is sort of a ticking clock for our opponent. They have to find ways to remove it from our board. And then I can't even imagine what would happen if you stack a bunch of Shivamon, so that is fascinating. And honestly, it is not that, easy to handle, right? It is a 12,000 DP card, but we'll talk all about the details coming up in a bit. But no, I think anyone who has been following BT8 since the reveals has been interested in Shivamon, so I'm excited to see, how we put this together in a green deck, and see kind of how the deck will function, because it is honestly kind of different than any of the green decks that we've done, certainly, and any of the green decks we've seen in the recent sets. So if you are excited for Shivamon and green in general, let me know in the comments down below, or while you're down there, let me know what deck you are looking forward to in BT8. And while you're down there, if you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more Digimon TCG content, as well as, a little bit of One Piece content if you're interested in that. I recently got back into the One Piece anime and manga, not to bring One Piece and Digimon into the same video, but I did release the how to play rules on that, I think last Tuesday, so that's pretty cool. And then last week we did put out our Mastamon video. But anyway, that is enough from me. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. Alright, and like with every deck profile that we do on the channel, we're going to start off with our Digitama, our Digi-Eggs, and an old familiar face. We have one copy of level 2 Argomon. So this has the inheritable that says when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during unsuspend phase, gain 1 memory. Obviously this can still be blocked by those memory blockers, but since a lot of our mechanics do involve unsuspending during the unsuspend phase, I thought one of these would be good to have. But the main Digitama that we want to see is our BBmon, which we have 4 copies of. And this says on our opponent's turn, when all of our Digimon are suspended, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP. Now, upon first read, this might naturally incline you to build a single stack and leave down the board and kind of swing from there, a single Shivamon, and that does make a little bit of sense, but you'll see later, we do have some Digisorbtion built into the deck, a little bit more than, expected, and I think those would be really nice ways to trigger this ability of having all of our Digimon suspended on the field without really necessarily putting them in harm's way. So 4 copies of BBmon, pretty solid. Moving on to our rookies, we do have 4 copies of level 3 Argomon, and we're playing this as just a 2-drop vanilla. This is good in case we want to just Digivolve on top of one of our eggs, or put it onto the field for 2 and then use it as Digisorbtion fodder for some of our champions and our ultimates. So not much else to say about that. Moving on to our next rookie, we have 3 copies of Terriermon, and this is the memory blocker Terriermon. An old classic at this point. Moving on, we do have 4 copies of the new Pulsemon that's coming out in BT8. So it has the inheritable that on all turns, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP for each of your other suspended Digimon. So like I said, on first look, the other effect might, make you think, oh, let's just build a single stack, but there are a lot of inheritables like this Pulsemons that does kind of cater towards having not a swarm of Digimon on the field, but at least a decent sized board, so we can trigger this all turns, and our Digisorbtion is going to help us make sure that we can keep those things suspended and on the field, as opposed to, like crashing into security. So yeah, 4 copies of level 3 Pulsemon. And then rounding out our rookies, we do have 2 copies of Tentomon from the starter deck. So this says on play, reveal top card of your deck, and if it's a green Digimon, add it to your hand. Otherwise, place it at the bottom of your deck. So this isn't really mixing any colors, and I know the Kogamon kind of says otherwise. But for the most part, every Digimon that we have in here is going to be able to be picked up by this Tentomon. The only thing that we might run into is the occasional option card and Tamer, which honestly the ratios that I'm running them at are fairly normal. So 2 copies of Tentomon's pretty safe pick here. Moving on to our champions, we have 4 copies of Namakimon. So this one has a very interesting main ability where we can suspend this Digimon to reveal top 3 cards of the deck, and then add 1 green Digimon card from among them, and then put it into our hand. Then we bot deck the rest as per normal. But the fact that this is a main ability and not a when digivolving ability makes it super interesting because it's pretty consistent search power or draw power, and it does still fit into our overall theme of the deck, in which we want our Digimon to be suspended. So Namakimon is absolutely solid in here. Next up, we have another Pulsemon Evo. In case you didn't know where these all came from, these are all part of the Vital Bracelet Dims, which I'm actually wearing my Vital Bracelet now that I can wear it. But I digress. 4 copies of Exermon. So this has the when digivolving ability that says that we can suspend one of our Digimon to suspend one of our opponent's Digimon. And this is pretty cool because it is not level locked, which is pretty sweet. So we can tap down, a Tentomon that we just played, or that Argamon that we played for 2. We can tap those down and suspend our opponent's level 6 or level 7. So that is a very solid ability. And then it gets even more solid with the inheritable that says on all turns, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP for each other suspended Digimon you have. So an exact copy of the Pulsemon. And only 2 to Digivolve, which is kind of wild. As a quick note about this too, you can suspend this Digimon as well. So it doesn't say suspend one of your other Digimon. And then rounding out the level 4s, we do have 3 copies of Kogamon. So this is a dual color purple-green, which I'm super excited about because I've been trying to make purple-green a thing, but this is the only one coming on BT8, so a little sad. But Kogamon is cool because it gives green access to retaliation, which is pretty nice. And at the level 4 stage, 5 costs of play, 2 to Digivolve, it honestly is pretty solid as a Digimon card. So I'm big on the Kogamon train, that's why I keep 3 copies of it. And the reason why retaliation is so important is because, as I sort of mentioned when I was, talking about Shivamon, or at least alluding to, we want to make sure that Shivamon is suspended, and then unsuspends during our next turn. But what happens if our opponent has something higher than 12,000, or even with the power boost at 15,000? Retaliation kind of protects Shivamon in the sense that they really need to go into our Shivamon with a level 6 or a level 7, and at that point they are sacrificing it because of retaliation. So yeah, retaliation in my opinion is a very key ability to have on Shivamon. Alright, moving on to the level 5s, we do have 1 copy of the BT2 level 5 Argamon, and this has Digisorbtion 3. So, suspend one of our Digimon to reduce the Digivolution cost by 3, essentially making it a free Evo. And then what probably makes this more menacing is its inheritable of when attacking, you can play a level 3 green Digimon from your hand, suspended without paying its memory cost. So this is awesome because it gets another body onto the board, but it keeps our strategy of having our whole entire board suspended. That way our opponent can't use any options if we have Shivamon on the field. And because this is one of the limited green cards, we do only have 1, but to make up for that, we do have 4 copies of Blossomon. So same Digisorbtion ability, essentially makes this a free Evo, just does not have the inheritable. And then rounding out our level 5s, we have 4 copies of Pistamon. So this has Digisorbtion -2, so this would be a 1 cost to Evo from our hand, and then has the Alterns ability of gets plus 1000 DP for each other suspended Digimon that's on the field. And yeah, for this particular deck, and you'll see why, and I think you maybe saw why because of the mega choices, but I did want to focus more on the Digisorbtion element of it. I know I've seen some decks run the other Pulsemon Evo, I believe it's Climbmon, which has a fantastic inheritable ability that when you attack, essentially, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Let me double check that real quick. So it has a when Digivolving that says you can return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP to the owner hand. So you're looking at 8,000 DP. And then on your turn, inheritable, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Okay, got that slightly wrong. Good thing I checked that. But the reason I didn't go with that one is because I wanted the Digisorbtion. And the reason I wanted the Digisorbtion is because, unlike most Shivamon decks I've seen, I'm running 2 Sarismons. So for those of you who don't remember, Digisorbtion -3, so essentially it would be a 2 cost to Evo Mega. And then on your turn, once per turn, when suspending Digimon for a Digisorbtion skill, you can suspend your opponent's Digimon instead. And it should be noted that that is you may suspend your opponent's Digimon. So if you don't want to suspend your opponent's stuff, you can still suspend yours. If you want to, activate Shivamon's ability maybe a little bit better. But if they have, a couple of weak things out in the field, and you have, your champions and ultimates that you can swing over them, might be worthwhile. The Sarismon gives you choices, and having choices in the game is always very solid. So the reason I didn't want to go more into Sarismon is because I do believe that Nidhoggmon is a very important mega for this deck as well. It is a 5 cost to Evo, but it has Digiburst, but it does have Digiburst 4, so trash the 4 cards from its sources, and then suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, then place all of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of their owner's deck in any order, then trash all the Digivolution cards from those Digimon. So if you've played, in older formats and even probably some current ones, Nidhoggmon you're pretty familiar with. It does have the potential to be a massive board wipe, and take something like Armor Rush. I don't think any of those go over 5,000, except for maybe Magnamon when it has the DP boost. So you can potentially return all of those Armor Digimon to the bottom of the deck, and because they're not being destroyed, they can't Armor Purge. So those VMons, donezo. So yeah, 2 copies of Nidhogg, 2 copies of Sarismon. I like that balance a lot. And then to round out our level 6s, do have 4 copies of Shivamon. So this is the main point of the deck, really. And I said in the intro, but I'll say it again. On our opponent's turn, while all of our Digimon are suspended, your opponent can't use any option cards. Then on your turn, when this Digimon unsuspends during the unsuspend phase, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. And that trash mechanic, that is security melt, works the same way as Ancient Beetlemon's ability, where they don't activate any of the security abilities because it is being melted from the security. And like I said, 12,000 DP for the Digivolve, honestly, not that bad. Then going into the options, we do have 1 copy of Hidden Potential Discovered, the classic HPD, limited for a reason. The next time one of your green Digimon Digivolves this turn, you can suspend one of your Digimon to reduce the memory cost of that Evo by 5. So that is a free anything you want in terms of the level 6s, because none of them Digivolve for higher than 5. Going into our next option, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation so bad, Samadhi Santi? Hopefully that's right. The green option card from this set, play cost of 1, which is pretty dope. And then you can suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. Then your opponent's cards suspended with this effect can't unsuspend until the end of their next turn. So this is cool, like if you want to, memory choke and pass turn, or just there's a problematic Digimon or Tamer that's on their field, you can suspend it and it gives you another turn without having to worry about it. And it's also cool because it gives, some pseudo Tamer hate to green. But this is an absolute fantastic option for 1 cost. That's why we're running it at 4. And then our last option, we have 1 copy of Green Memory Boost. Reveal top 4 of our deck, add 1 green Digimon card from among them, then put this own and bot deck the rest, then place this in the battle area. Then later on, we can use the delay ability and gain 2 memory. Really good for searching for things we need, and then also giving us just a little bit more memory if we want to go into some of our higher, Evo plays like Nidhogg or Shiva. And then rounding out the deck profile, we have our tamer, 3 copies of Mimi. So it's our memory tamer, so if we have 2 or less, set us to 3. And then if we have a level 5 or higher Digimon in play, we can suspend this tamer to either hatch a Digi-Egg into an empty spot, or move a level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battlefield. And for those of you who don't know, that Digimon that comes out of the raising area can swing, even if you just Digivolved it. But yeah, that is my green Shivamon deck. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. How do you think about the amount of Digisorbtion that's in it, all the suspend mechanics? Do you think it's an interesting ability, or do you think it's just going to be abused by, some high-end, high-level Digimon? Let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Like I said in the intro, my main focus is still Digimon, but I am getting more into the One Piece just as I'm learning about that game and kind of seeing the things that are coming out for it. Plus, One Piece is pretty awesome. So, some slight changes there. If anything, I'll go from, making 1 video a week to 2. We'll see what happens. One Piece will be slower up front, but Digimon will still continue to be weekly. So if that interests you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. But anyway, I think that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And Tamers, remember, build what you like, play what you love. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good one.